Hello. I'm going to start this new reading log with the Center Doctor of the Moonflower Kingdom, Volume 7. So, in this volume, Koyo and Sing went to a village to investigate a certain disease that's been causing a lot of heartbreak. And before that, Master Kyung and two comrades decided to come before Koyo, but he realized he needs Koyo to find out what's going on. And when Koyo arrived, Master Kyun left to go to the mountain to find out maybe there might be a cause of this certain disease. Now, when Koyo got there, she wasn't sure what this disease may have caused, and she made some assumption or prediction, but down the line, they actually figure out what might have caused this disease to start. And besides Koyo, there's a cult group called STEM Sec. They are right there before everybody, trying to figure out if they could help the village, and they brought a certain food called corn because they were facing a lot of famine. And so Koyo and Sing think the corn may have caused the disease, maybe because the village haven't had corn before, or it wasn't prepared the right way, because Sing come from a certain place where they eat a lot of corn, and of course they prepare it where none of his people will get sick. However, the priest Stemsick is of course being stubborn and doesn't believe that the corn was the cause. So Koyo did something very drastic, and so now she's sort of infected to see whether if she's right. Aside from that, Koyo also bumped Shoshin. Shoshin is like a herbalist, but however, his true identity, he's actually part of the STEM sect. Now we also get to learn about his past, how he grew up poor, how people treated him differently because of his appearance, and he eventually learned about human can be so full of foolish things, and he's been using people left and right. And yeah, like it shows his development about how he became who he is now. But yeah, he was also there just to investigate, but in reality, he is also there being a STEM sec. And on top of that, we also find out about what happened to Master Kyun and his two comrades. Unfortunately, they were captured, but we don't know who yet, but I think I might know. So far, I really like the story. There's a bit of mystery, drama, conflicts, and I'm curious what's going to happen next, because I want Koyo to prove her theory that she is right, and the fact that the STEM sec is there for the right thing. But apparently, like, I feel like they're just making everything get worse, and we'll see what will happen to Master Korean as well. Just finished reading Tamon B-Side Volume 5. This is the current volume. Volume 6 comes out next month. This manga is full of fun, but sometimes a lot of emotion, a big roller coaster. Now in this volume, the group Phase, where Tamon is part of, they're trying to figure out a name for their fan base. And that was kind of interesting to read, because instead of saying, "Hey fans," they want something else, like a nickname. Now throughout the story, we get to learn more another member named Natsuki. In the beginning, we get to learn about Tamon, then Ori, and the leader, I forgot his name. Now it's Natsuki's turn. There's a total of 5 of them in this group. Now Natsuki is usually the person who makes songs for the group, but this time he's being rebellious. He's in a different phase. He's not very focused and not interested. However, this new song is very important because of a upcoming TV show that they have to do. And he keeps going missing because he just doesn't want to do it. Now, after reading about Natsuki, it seems like every boy member in the group has some sort of flaws, but at the same time, I think they're just trying to be who they are. Now, Tamon, he feels depressed and has low self-esteem. Ori, on the other hand, he keeps wanting Kunishita, our main girl's attention, for a lot of reasons, because he's been in the business for a long time. I think he wants to prove to his parents that he will surpass his parents, because his parents is also in the showbiz. Now, the leader of the group, at first he didn't like Kunishita, is because he doesn't like fangirls because it will distract the boys' lives. Now he realized that Kunishita actually makes a good role model to Tamon. He changed his mind, And then we also get to meet Natsuki, which I already mentioned. I don't remember the name of the last member. He doesn't really speak as much. He just like agree and just nod. I have a feeling we'll probably learn about the last member on the next volume, because throughout the story we get to learn slowly of each member. And of course, Miss Konoshita being in the picture, she's also learning a lot, that each member, doesn't seem to have it together all the time, that they do have issue here and there. And yeah, she's learning a lot. Though there was a bit of surprise happen in this volume. Let's just say one of the members has fallen in love with Miss Konoshita. It's not even Tamon. But Tamon, I feel like he may have, but not yet. So that was a bit of a shock. And it didn't make sense at first, but now I kind of understand. All in all, I always enjoy reading Tamon's B-side. It can be a big roller coaster when it comes to emotion. I like the fact that we get to see behind the scene of each member, because it's not always perfect, and it also doesn't focus with the two main characters. And so I'm looking forward to reading the next volume, which comes out next month, January 10th, and we'll find out what happened to Natsuki, because he is missing. I'm so sorry about the noise. It's my heater, and the lighting is kind of bad because it always gets dark so fast. So I've just finished reading Wistoria 1 and Sword Volume 3 and 4. This manga is full of action. It gets straight to the point. I don't feel like it stalls all the time. Like, in other words, there's no distraction and everything is just go, go, go. Now, our main character named Will, he has no magic. He relies on his sword as well as other magic items. And so I think he even used a gauntlet. Anywho, now Will is trying to earn points in order to get to the upper tower. This is his last year of this academy, and he needs at least 10,000 points. I believe he has 5,000 points, and time to time they go to these dungeons to earn points, and he didn't have enough again, and so he decided to enter this festival. This festival will let him earn some points as well as get scouted by the 4th faction from the upper tower. I think there's the ice faction, fire faction, thunder faction. I forgot the last one. But I think one of the faction is his childhood friend. That is, his main goal is to stand next to his childhood friend named Elefia. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. Now, during the festival, he was teamed up with Colette and Cyan. Now, Cyan doesn't really like Will because he has no power. There's just a lot of classmates that doesn't like Will because he has no power and magic. However, after this festival, he proved to everybody that even though he has no power, his skills, strength, observation, and he's like a bookworm, I guess, because they call him a book something something. But yeah, with his knowledge, he's able to defeat a lot of things, from monsters, even from magic user, especially this one character named Lucius. He's very, always angry. He doesn't like Will, but they had to battle against each other because one day Lucius went to his workplace because Will has to work to pay his tuition, and then Lucius was being sort of prejudiced over the dwarves. Now, in this story, there's dwarves and elves and of course human beings, and yeah, Lucius was not very nice, and then Lucius wanted Will to enter the festival because Will didn't want to enter the festival in the first place, but now Will wants to enter the festival because he wants Lucius to apologize to the dwarves. So at the festival, there's about 6 obstacles that they have to go through, and then at the very end, Will and Lucius had to fight because they reached the ending point of the game, and the winner has to get this crown. However, another team actually got the crown, but of course, when it comes to the fight between Lucius and Will won. Even though he didn't win the festival, he has another chance to get more points. Aside from exams and other tests, they also have this thing called the praxis. They have to go to the dungeon and fight monsters to earn points. Now, Will was asked surprisingly to be part of this team. Now, the team leader, who was the winner from the festival, and then in the team, there's Lucius and Cyan. Now, they don't like Will, but they have no choice but to go along with it because Will wants to join this team because he needs the point as well. Apparently, this whole dungeon will take 10 days, and they need to be extra careful because there are times that students won't make it at the end. So this is going to be a quite interesting read the next few volumes because Will is gonna fight a lot of monsters, and in order to get to the upper tower, he needs those points. And we'll see if the team will work together because Lucius and Cyan don't like Will, and I don't think they like each other as well. So far, I really like this manga. Again, it just gets straight to the point, no distraction. So I'm definitely looking forward reading more of Wisteria, and I definitely want to watch the anime because I've been hearing good things. I think it was very popular back in summer, and yeah. Here's a manhwa called Not So Wicked Stepmom. This is an isekai. Now our main character died, of course, and then reincarnated to this new lifetime in this body as a stepmom. However, previously the stepmom died from poisoning. They believe she was either murdered because she was not very nice queen or stepmom. She was very evil to everybody. But now that she's alive again with a new personality, if that makes sense, she wants to make some changes. She doesn't want to be seen as the old wicked stepmom, and she has a stepdaughter. Oh my gosh, she adores her daughter. She's obsessed with her daughter. It is because in her previous life, she was a designer for kids' clothing. And she doesn't really design yet in the story. She would give her gifts and sweets, all the things that a kid would want. However, her stepdaughter has a tutor, but this tutor is very controlling, telling her what to wear, what to eat. But sometimes she steps in, being a stepmom, letting her know that a kid should always be a kid. Don't teach her a lot of adult things because that will take away her, childiness. And so ever since she's in this new life, new body, she wants to make a lot of changes. She wants to be a good person. The only person that she does not get along very well is the husband. Now, I guess they used to live in the same room, but now she wants to have her own room. She wants to make some changes. She's not the same queen as they remember her before. So the palace is more lively. Everyone's happy because previously all the maids would be afraid of the queen. But now that she's making all these changes, everybody seems to be in a better mood versus before. Of course, I should not forget to mention this. She does have a mirror. It's almost like a Snow White fairy tale, but the stepmom is nicer, if that makes sense. Now, she does have a mirror. She talks to the mirror talks back. Instead of asking obsessive question about beauty, she asks advice whether if this item or this item will be suitable for her daughter. So it's actually a fun of conversation between her and the mirror. Now, this mirror is also a regular person in the mirror. At first, they never got along, but now they do. But yes, I definitely like this story. It's quite fun. Now, I think the only enemy that she needs to watch out for is there's a noble who wants the king to have a second wife, but the king doesn't want a second wife. Of course, she's very pleased to hear that. Now, I did mention about the stepdaughter's tutor. The tutor is actually this noble's sister. So I assume that they could be plotting something to drive out the previous queen, but who knows? We'll see how the story goes. And let's go through the pages. As you guys know, this is a manhwa, so of course it's going to be colored. Now, the king, he does seem to notice about the queen's new attitude. So maybe there'll be a chance if these two will, get together, maybe have some romance, but who knows? But yeah, so far I really like the story. I definitely enjoyed. I believe there's already 5 volumes out there, so can't wait to read more. I just finished reading this isekai called Loner Life in Another World. I read 2 and 3. You got a class who got transferred to another world, and this class was divided. You get the girls, the jocks, the delinquent, the nerds, and of course our main character. He prefers to be alone. However, he did help the girls get into town because the rest of the group got separated. And once they reached into town, they needed to apply for the Adventurers Guild, very similar with other isekai, because it's the only way for them to earn money. However, our main character Haruka, even though he has a lot of skills and power, his level is not enough to register to become a guild adventurer, which really sucks. He always tried to escape from the girls because he wants to go out there back in the forest to fight and live in his cave, because he has his cave, but it's still there. However, again, like I said, he prefers to be alone. Now, since the group got separated, the group delinquent is the group that they need to watch, because one of them, they believe, wants to hijack the class rep's skill called hijack. But he found out later it wasn't the delinquent, and it was someone else from the nerd group, I believe. I got really confused. I thought he was part of the nerd group, because at the end of the story, after he was fighting with this guy from his class, he was very powerful. He was the one who wanted the power from the class rep, and Haruka almost got defeated. But however, he has so many skills that he's able to combine his magic. So after he defeated him, he went back in town and was surprised to see the nerds was there, the jocks as well as the girls. However, the delinquent didn't make it because they got defeated by that certain guy. I think the story is great, very simple. I found it sort of very similar with other isekai, especially with the Adventure Guild. They have all certain type of skills. I think what stands out from the rest of the isekai is this is a class, a group of students who got transferred, because a lot of isekai are mostly individual. I'm definitely looking forward to read more of this manga. At first, I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it, but after reading these 2 volumes, I think it definitely changed my mind. I'm curious what's gonna happen to the class, and if our main character is gonna stay with the class or stay a loner. And we'll see where the story goes. Here's a manga that I've always wanted to read. This one's called Girl's Last Tour. I read 1 so far. This is actually a short series of just 5 volumes. I'm not sure if this is like a post-apocalyptic, but we got our 2 main characters, Yuri and Cheeto. Well, there's no really other human people around them. They've been in this underground for a long time, and they finally made out, and they finally saw the sun, and they realized it is snowing. So basically, they're trying to figure out food, how to get to certain places. They have no clue where they're going. They have this motorbike, but it looks like a tank in my opinion. But yes, along their little journey, they find places for shelter. They found a fish one time, and they actually bump into someone. Finally, he's actually a map maker. He actually helped them create a bridge, because they're trying to cross, and then once they crossed, they wanted to see this tower to see if there's anything. What's interesting about this tower is once they reach the top, it's like another city, if that makes sense, because they were at the bottom, now they're at the top. So the map maker and the 2 girls went on their separate way. So that's basically how the volume ends. It's a very quick to read. It's kind of short, to be honest. Overall, it's about these 2 girls trying to survive. They don't know what really happened, because all they see are a bunch of weapons in the ground, old tanks, maybe old airplanes. So there's not much backstory about what happened, to the world or the people around. I guess we'll find out in the next few volumes. I hope they do mention, what happened. Of course, the girls face a lot of struggles mentally, physically, especially food, and just trying to figure out what's out there. And yes, I'm looking forward to read more of this, because it's one of the manga that I've been wanting to read. I'm definitely curious, of course. And so now the illustration here is really simple. I like it. It's a little bit different from other, manga as well. Okay, let's go through with it. Yeah, that is one of the girl. I believe this is Yuri, and that is, Cheeto, or vice versa, if you know what I mean. Yeah, so here's some more. Now these girls are just doing their best to live and trying to stay positive. I believe she can read and write. Well, she doesn't really know too much about reading and writing, but they're like opposite. She's the brain. She's more into like fighting and doing physical stuff. But of course, they always work together. I'm looking forward to read more of this manga. Let me know if anybody read this yet. Let me know what you think about it. Now, this manga called The Way of the House Husband, I read volume 2 and 3. I haven't read this manga for a long time. I think I read volume 1 many months ago. This is quite funny. He's a former Yakuza turned into a house husband. He's very into cleaning, cooking. So in this volume, he joined a yoga class. I think it was also an aerobic class. And then he had like a volleyball meetup. That was quite funny because the team that he was against seems like a Yakuza group, but not quite sure. But it was so sort of funny because you think these guys are there to cause trouble, but no, they're there to play volleyball because it was a good way for them to exercise. That scene was fun because, you know, things happen so unexpectedly. You would think this is gonna be full of fighting and violence, but no, not really. It's really funny. I'm always catching myself laughing. Sometimes he does bump into like old colleague, old Yakuza, but it turns out to be good. Like he bumped into this guy who just got out of the prison. Now he's running a crepe place. And at first I thought something bad was gonna happen. It turned out to be a dessert contest. And in order to win, they had to post a picture that they took from their dessert to see who has the most like. And of course, our main character won with 1 like, and then his old comrade or old enemy had 0 likes. So that was kind of funny and kind of sucks that he only had 0. Other than that, the story gets to the point. Every chapter has all different activities for him, like shopping, the sports game, meeting up an old enemy, and he does bump into this group that was causing trouble, but instead they know that he is the famous immortal dragon. They don't want to cause trouble because they know what's going to happen, but at the same time he does avoid violence because he's not that type of person anymore. And his wife is very supportive no matter what, because the wife works. And he doesn't really work, but he does work when he needs extra funds to buy gifts for his wife. And I like the wife. Like, she's very kind and supportive, and she knows his, background story. Aside from that, he does meet with his old boss. Now, the boss has a dog, and then he surprised the dog with a shirt because not only he cooks and clean, he does little hobbies here and there, crafts, especially sewing. And so the boss was sort of happy, but he realized how happy he is the way he is. He was going to recruit him, but he realized it's best to let him be. I think this manga is great. I always enjoy myself reading this, though there are times they do make a lot of faces and it's very like Yakuza pose, or they make this scary faces, but it's still quite funny to look at. But yes, I would definitely recommend this if you're open to a lot of things. It's not your typical slice of life. I still find it like a slice of life, even though it has that Yakuza vibe, and I still like it. And so definitely try if you can. Here's my choice for a BL manga called Classmates Volume 1 Dokyuse. So we got our 2 main characters named Kusakabe and Sajo. They go to an old boys school. They actually met up through music class because Kusakabe realized Sajo may not be singing during the music class practice. However, he was saying that he couldn't see and that's why he wasn't singing. Now, Kusakabe is actually in a band, so he knows all about music. So ever since he was teaching Sajo music, they started to get to know each other, and boom, there was an accident. Well, something happened. Let's just say they KISS, and since then they started going out, but not really completely and not official because Sajo wasn't sure. Now, Sajo is very reserved. Kusakabe, he's more like he would make the first move all the time. He's very extroverted. But Saju, he just goes with the flow. There's no saying whether he really likes Kusasabe, but again, he's just going with the flow. And then the story jumped into 1 year later. They're in their final school year. They're trying to figure out what school they want to go to for college. Now, Kusakabe found out that Saju was going to Kyoto. He wasn't very happy. I think it's because he heard it from the music teacher. Then again, I guess Saju wasn't ready to tell him, even though he wanted to tell him. So they had their little fight, but again, later on, they do get back together. I think the story is great. It feels like it's a little bit fast, but not too fast where like, oh, what just happened? But I like it because, there's no setbacks and it just gets to the point. Of course, the boys does face some struggles. I think sometimes their relationship gets in the way with their studies. I believe Kusakabe is more into the relationship more than Sajo. Now, Sajo takes his education very seriously. I think it's because his parents wants him to do really good, and I think it gives him a lot of pressure in order to get what he wants, especially the school that he wanted. But the school that he wants is actually the school what his dad wants to go to because that's his alumni. And so eventually Kusakabe is trying to be patient with Sajo because Sajo takes his education seriously, and he does end up supporting him because he wants to be with him. Sajo does loosen up a little bit. He's showing a little bit more affection towards Kosasabe. Yeah, I'm looking forward to see where this story goes, especially what this boy's future will look like. Now, this manga has only 5 volumes. It's a very short series, and so far I only have 1 and 4. I need to grab the other rest, but let's go through the pages. The illustration here is very simple. I like it. It's very similar to the other manga I read, which I kind of forgot now. But yeah, it's actually rated teen. There's no explicit scene because it's a rated teen BL. I am gonna end this ring light. I could have keep going today, but tomorrow I have an early work, and so I tried to do all my editing today, which is Friday. So this week I read a bunch of new titles as always because my TBR is everlasting, and we did continue the Eccentric Doctor of the Moonflower Kingdom, Tamon B-side, Wistoria 1 and Sword, and the new ones were Not So Wicked Stepmom. I really like that. Lorna Life in Another World, not bad. Girl's Last Store, looking forward. The Way of the Husband, really funny. And then we have our BL Choice Classmates. I'm also looking forward to reading that as well. All this manga were so much fun. I had a great time. It's so rare nowadays that I haven't dropped a manga. Let's not jinx it, but yes, I'm so looking forward to read more of these manga, and we'll see what I read next week. And so thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Next week will be my last reading log, and so I'll see you next time.